This is a tutorial on the residential purchase agreement we're using here in 2025. Right now, it's March of 2025 when I'm recording this. Now, when this form was released a few months ago, they had the SPBB form in it as part of it. And then they quickly took it out like 2 weeks later, I think. But it's not there. And I realized the tutorial I have on this form includes the SPBB. So now this is an updated one to show you how you properly ask for buyer's agent compensation without the SPBB form. Now this bundle is 27 pages, but I'm going to do this at an accelerated pace very quickly to show you how to fill this whole thing out in a hurry. Now, when you start at the very top of this bundle, it has this agency relationship disclosure required by law, signed by you and your client, nothing on page 2. And here we are at the start of the purchase agreement. Now I'm going to go through it very quickly. If you have a question about something, leave a comment. We put the date that we're drafting this form here, the buyer or buyers' names if there are multiple, the property address, the assessor's parcel number, which is the tax ID for real estate found on a property tax bill on the MLS, through tax records, ask the seller, look on the county assessor's website. If you really can't find it, leave it blank. You're going to put the name of the listing brokerage, the listing agent's name, their respective license numbers. Then you, the buyer's agent, you're going to put your brokerage name and your name, and then your personal license number, brokerage license number. Check the appropriate boxes here about who's representing whom. Now we come down to purchase price. I just wrote in $1 million because that's basically where we are. That's the state of affairs here in California, 2025. And so if it's all cash, check this box. If not, leave it alone. I'm doing a 30-day escrow period, fairly typical. Expiration, leaving that alone. Initial deposit between 1% and 3% of the sales price. I wrote in $10,000. That's it. Come down here. I'm getting a loan of $800,000, meaning the buyer's getting putting $200,000 down. So I put $800,000 here. And by default, it's a conventional mortgage. So I'm going to leave all this alone. Now, some agents write in the not to exceed this percentage rate, and you can put that in if you want. I think it's toothless, and a lot of agents don't. I'm just showing you how I'd fill this out in a hurry. This is automatically calculated for you, the balance of the purchase price, and it should all balance out to equal the total offer price here. Now we're at the top of page 2 of the offer itself, and this is where we get to the payment of your commission. Now keep in mind that there is a space for a seller credit to buyer for repairs. It says for closing costs. It's all the same thing in the end. It's money credited toward the buyer for whatever, and it's all done through escrow. But they also have this other line too, and these are not for buyer broker compensation because they have this here. Now, I mean, this is like if sometimes a buyer is getting a low down payment loan and needs help with closing costs. In that case, you'll check this box and you'll put in a number to be a credit for buyer's closing costs. However, they're showing you that this is not related to the payment of buyer's broker. Okay? You have to check this box here and you write in how much you want the seller to pay your brokerage. Okay? We check this box, we write in 2.5%, and we're done. That's it. No more SPBB. That's it. We've now requested that the seller pay the buyer's obligation. You should have a representation agreement filled out by now. You must have, per California state law, a representation agreement filled out at the time you're drafting this offer. If you disagree, leave a comment so I can explain why you're wrong, because this I know. And if it's a different number, you can add on a dollar amount in addition to that, like if you want them to pay something in addition, maybe a processing fee, or just check this box and write in a flat fee figure. But this is where you ask for it, everyone. No more SPBB. It was unnecessary to begin with. It was silly that they ever had it. They made a smart move by getting rid of it. All right. Now, I'm just leaving all this blank. I mean, if you need to change it, modify these numbers. But I'm showing you how to do this quickly because it's a 27-page document. And you know what? The thing is this thing is tried and tested. You're filling in the blanks. You're not drafting this from scratch. You're filling in the blanks, and there's all this default here. I'm doing nothing here. Now, if you need to modify contingency periods, do it here, but I'm not. I'm showing you how I'd write an offer right now if someone called me and said, please write an offer for me. And if you need to waive a loan contingency because it's all cash, I mean, there's a box for it. Just read what you're looking at here and you'll be just fine. I'm leaving all of this alone. Remember the party's initial at the bottom? Here, by the way, I'm checking all these boxes here. This I'd be careful about. Make sure you check whatever boxes apply to the transfer of property. These are items that are conveying with the real property. Check all the boxes. And if there's something additional personal property that needs to convey or real property that should be excluded, write it in here. All right? And then down here, allocation of cost. This is another important section of the offer. NHD, so I'm having the seller pay. I'm having fastnhd.com do it. I'm putting environmental. Optional, wildlife, you had me an optional. I'm leaving this blank. I'm not doing this. Termite report. And by the way, fill it out your own way. I'm just showing you how I would do it, okay, in a hurry. And I'm confident in it because I've, at this point, brokered thousands of transactions. Thousands. Termite report. I'm having the seller pay. Do I need another report? I'm writing it in here. Seller should pay for this. Smoke alarm, CO2 detector, water heater bracing. Sometimes I see investors leave this blank or waive it. It's nonsense. This needs to be addressed. A whole nother conversation, but don't leave this blank. This does get left blank, and that's fine. If you want to leave this blank or remove it entirely, go for it. I've done videos on this topic. It becomes contentious, but if you need the seller to correct anything that's not up to code, check this box. All right? And if there's a city inspection fee, check this box. If not, leave it blank. Escrow fee, each pay their own. That's just what it's become in Southern California, at least. Write in the escrow holder. In Southern California, seller is going to pick. Owner settle policy, seller pays in Southern California. It's different in Northern California. Varies county to county, but down here is more standardized. And then title company, you write that in here. Leaving all this, I'm having the seller pay all these fees. HOA, if applicable, there may not be an HOA, so it's pointless. Home warranty, I'm having the seller pay, but I'm having the buyer choose. And I'm putting an amount. You can look up an amount on a website that sells home warranties. You can put in a bunch of info about the property, and they'll generate a number. Other terms, write it in here if you have them. We're going through. I'm scrolling through. I'm not doing anything here. I'm scrolling through page 6 of 17. Not doing anything here. We've gone through the bulk of the purchase agreement. Almost done. Not quite, but almost there. Liquidated damages. Have the buyer initial here. Arbitration. This is optional. I recommend it. It's not required, though. It just means that if the parties don't settle any dispute with mediation, it goes to arbitration rather than to litigation. It's a way to avoid a costly court battle. Then the parties will initial down here. I'm still scrolling. I'm not doing anything else here. Is the buyer an entity, an LLC, a trust, a corporation? Check this box, write it in. Who's the authorized signer? The signer, it needs to be an individual person's name. See how they have John Doe here? It needs to be John Doe. You can't just sign Happy Homes LLC or whatever. Sometimes I see that signature. It's no good. You need to have an individual authorized signer's name. Buyer's going to sign. Seller's going to counter or not, or just accept it, and then sign. That's it. You're going to sign down here in the agent part. This is my company information here. This is where you're going to put your information. Try to fill out some of the seller's, aka listing brokerage information as much as possible. It's helpful to them. Escrow holder is going to fill this out. Okay, that's it for the offer, but this bundle is 27 pages. We're on page 20 of 27. These are just advisories, disclaimers, disclosures, those sorts of things. Buyer's going to sign. It's for good measure that you pass this on to the buyer. You're going to sign this one, PRBS. Buyer's going to sign. Fair Housing Discrimination Advisory. Buyer's going to sign. Homeowners Insurance Advisory. Big problem in California, getting worse. Buyer's going to sign. Wire fraud. Always a problem. Buyer's going to sign. You're advising the buyer, letting them know. Consumer Advisory. That's it. 27 pages. We're through it. Hopefully that didn't take too long. Check out the links in the description. and thank you for watching.